Welcome to the Artists Studio. In this episode, we meet the internationally acclaimed pianist and conductor, Vladimir Ashkenazy. Vladimir has built an extraordinary career, not only as one of the most outstanding pianists of the 20th century, but also as one of the greatest conductors of the world's finest orchestras. He is also the music director of the European Union Youth Orchestra, which made its debut appearance in the Arab world at the 2014 Abu Dhabi Festival. We caught up with him as he prepared for this historic concert.
When you were growing up, did you want to be a musician?
Yes, I did. My father was a pianist, so music was always at home. He wasn't a classical pianist, he was a light music pianist, but it still brought me to music in principle. And I didn't want to be a light music musician because I didn't like that music too much. So then I studied properly.
You left your birthplace of Russia when you were 26. So how is experiencing different cultures affect you?
Well, I had been to the West before I left Russia permanently. I've been to many countries before, the United States, all European countries, so I knew what the West was like. But of course it's a different story to be resident in the West, so that took some time for me to get used to the environment and how to behave, what to do. But it wasn't too difficult because my wife was from the West, she's Icelandic, and she had lived in London from the age of 6, so she knew the area very well. So that was an unbelievable help and support. So there was no problem in the end.
During your career as a pianist, you shifted to be a conductor. How did that happen? And what is the difference?
Well, musically, there is no difference. Music is basically the same. But the way of making it, of course, is totally different. Because when you play the piano, you just play the piano, nobody can help you. And you are responsible for every sound, for everything. When you conduct, of course, you have to deal with 100 people sitting in front of you. They have to understand what you mean by moving your arms. So I never thought I would conduct when I was a boy. When I became a successful pianist, I never thought I would conduct because that was too complicated. But the symphony orchestra was my greatest love, much more than the piano, from the age of 8 or 6. So when it came, when my activity came to conducting, somehow without me trying to do it, somebody asked me to conduct little. I did. It was terrible conducting, of course, because I didn't know how to do it. And then little by little, people asked me more and more and more and said, well, we'd like to play with you, so please come and conduct. So that's how it happened. I didn't try to become a conductor.
Can the training you receive as a musician help you or prepare you in other areas?
Well, first of all, you have to be, people who will be training you, as you said, they should realize what type of gift you have and what is a possibility with what you have to offer in arts in general, in music particularly. So it is, people who have obvious talents, obvious gifts for music, then it's worth helping them and getting them to a higher level and see whether they could make a career. Otherwise, there's no point if you're not gifted in this particular way. There's no point doing anything. So it is for the teacher to realize what is possible and what's not possible.
Why did you decide to be part of the European Union Youth Orchestra?
Well, I'm a European. I lived in England from the age of 26, in England and in Iceland, now in Switzerland. So I'm very much a European. I'm probably more European than Russian. That's the way my life developed. And to conduct an orchestra that consists of young musicians from practically all European countries is a great pleasure, and I feel like one of them. So there's no difference between the orchestra in front of me and me. They know I'm just one of them, and I hope they realize it.
Today, many young Emiratis started to play piano and practice it. So what does it take to be a great pianist?
Well, you're asking a question what it is actually what music is supposed to express. Why does it exist? Well, you see, the great music, as I said before, is a creation of some very particularly unbelievably gifted individuals who didn't just compose some rubbish, but who wanted to express something that is on a very high level of our existence, you see. And if we try to understand it and try to express what the great composers tried to express, then it's worth being there, you see. Just to play the notes, well, anybody can learn to play the notes, but that's not the point.
How would you describe classical music for someone who have never heard it before?
Well, I wouldn't describe exactly. What I would do if somebody is interested in what you call classical music, I would say, why don't you listen to this, to this, to this? It's a slow process, actually, to get close to understanding what it is. You can't explain it in words. That's why music exists, because words are insufficient, actually. So that's what I would do. And I've had quite a few cases. You know, there's, for instance, one of the schools in London where in one class they decided to have our serious music lessons because they were interested and they loved it and had lessons every week, one lesson for years, and they did better in all other subjects than those who didn't have those lessons. It's quite amazing what music does to your spiritual development and your brain too, everything. You are on a higher level and you understand everything else in life on a higher level too. So it helps a person to be more mature. Not bad.
What would you tell families who are stopping their kids from joining a musician field?
What can I say? Sometimes parents very often make mistakes. We're not perfect, are we? You know, I have 5 children, and 2 of them became musicians. And do you think I tried to impose on them my opinion about life, about what we should do in life? No. One of them said, I think I want to play the piano. I said, if you really want to, you do it. We don't know how much you will achieve, whether you'll be successful or not. Yes, but I want to do it. Okay, then you do it. That's your decision. I'm not going to. You know what it is like? You know what music is like? You know what I went through, some other people went through. But I love music, I want to be a musician. So that's it. Okay, fine. So I never impose myself on my children. Whatever they want to be, we discuss it, and they make the decisions. And they will be responsible for the consequences.
Do you have any advice for young musicians who want to be a professional?
Well, that's what I said, basically. The advice would be also, actually I could add a little bit, that if there's a great desire to be a musician, of course you study seriously. But if at some point you see that what you learned and what you can do did not bring you, or is not bringing you to a level you imagined that you'd be important and famous and this and that, then it depends on whether you want to remain to be a musician or not. But if you went there just in order to be famous and successful, then that's the end of you, because you go to music because you feel like that this is your life. And so I tell them, well, it's not important to be successful. If you love music and you do something, maybe you teach or play here or play there, but you won't be maybe as famous as some fantastically famous people. But stay there. And some of them stay there because they love music. They're not there for success. They're there for music. And they can do something very worthwhile. That's what I tell them. And then it's life. We never know what happens. Some unbelievably talented people have not been successful. And some mediocrities have had great careers in life. You know, in every aspect of our life, it happens all the time. In music too. So there's no answer to that.
If your life was a movie, what would it be like?
Well, in that case, I probably, I know what I would do then, if I had to do it. because I lived in the Soviet Union, I was born in the Soviet Union, and was a communist country, of course, as you know. And now it has changed dramatically, and probably it will never turn back to a communist system, which is a very positive thing. So I probably then would create a film describing what it was like to live in a communist country with no freedom for an individual, for ideology that had to be imprinted on behavior of every person, where there was no right of travel, no right of self-expression. And I would explain to them what it means to live in a communist country. And there's still some communist countries now that exist. And people would realize what it is like. That would be probably the most important element of a film about my life. As you know, I emigrated when I was 26, I was lucky, of course. So I lived a full life in the West, of course. And I will be always grateful for my musical education in Russia. It was fantastic. And I had great teachers. That I'll never forget, of course. But the system, that's what I would do in the film, probably. Just to let people know what it is like, those who don't. And they have sort of a lot of misconception, you see. A lot. People ask me, they don't even know what I told you now. For instance, there's no freedom of this, no freedom of that. They don't even know that very often. They should know that. So that's what would be maybe the most important part of the film.
Vladimir Ashkenazy, thank you for talking to the Artist Studio.
My pleasure. Thank you.